And we're live. Oh my God.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, we are live with Crossing the Streams, episode 7. We
Said
did
it couldn't be done.
We said it couldn't be done. But here
we
are.
haven't been canceled yet. That's good.
We have not been canceled yet. Oh man, we got a great show for you today. But as always, we're gonna kick it off special with our special guest, Jess Paul, and she is going to sing the theme song.
The part you're always waiting for, everybody. All right, here we go, guys. Here's a story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have job and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me. They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff and Ron and Sal and Rob. And then there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams. And then one day they went live in all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams. We cross the streams. Everybody! We cross the streams.
That's the way we do it.
We cross the streams.
Da-da-da.
Nice. Good work.
All right. Oh, Jess, great job. Great
job, Jess.
Fantastic.
Great.
You know what? I even covered all the octaves, all the keys, all the minors and majors in there. That I just did it all.
Slayed it.
You did amazing. You did amazing.
Did a good job, Jess.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for coming to episode 7 of Crossing the Streams. I'm Jeff DeWaskin, and I'm excited to have you all here. We got a great group. We got the regular crew, but we also have a special guest, the specialist of guests, with us today. And I am, wait, why am I'm looking for my things here. Oh, wait. Oh, no.
That's not it.
I'm like all messed up.
Spoiling.
It's like everything looks like it's in the right spot, and then I can't find it. Anyway, we have Jess Paul here, who here we go. Jess Paul. Jess Paul.
There she is.
This is my fault for making this image look like all the other images. Jess Paul is a YouTube superstar on the This Is Jess Paul channel. You can find her on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to let Jess tell you about Jess, because Jess tells Jess best.
Wow. Oh my God. You just slid right into that. Beautiful intro. Thank you so much, Jeff. So, Jeff said it all already. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a fake food prop maker. I'm an actor. That's why I'm in Los Angeles. I'm a filmmaker. And today I'm going to be sharing with you one of the gems that I found on television. It's going to be a special one. It's a decade old, but I'm sure you've never heard of it. And Jeff's already ruined it.
Sneak peek.
Right.
We call it a sneak peek in the biz, Jeff.
Got it. The trailer. Right. We want to get them excited for what's coming. But yeah, and so I'm just trying to be entertaining all around. I offer secrets about myself on my YouTube so that people can maybe not feel so alone in this world, because that's how I felt before I found the whole world of people that were just like me. Says the girl with the donut ears on her head. We all feel like sometimes we are just. No one's ever had the same thoughts we have had, felt the same thing. And then eventually we realize no one's had an original thought and we're all just floating here on this. But no, this world is to find friends and to come together on this very special day. So yeah. Was that enough? Was that good enough?
I think what
was more than good.
Great.
What I took from that is it all means nothing. The whole
pretty
thing.
much.
Yeah.
Haven't we all had some kind of existential crisis this past year? Like maybe some of us who never have before have literally had nervous breakdowns in our own bedrooms because we haven't left in 3 days in a row,
I think Bob's having a nervous breakdown right now.
I think Bob is. He's so we're gonna
Comcast over his internet connection.
Yeah, I do have some exciting something exciting to share. So my podcast, which is the Jeff DeWaskin Show live from Detroit, was today I found out was number 22 in Spain. How about that, guys?
I mean,
and you're an English speaking podcast.
I'm like huge in Spain, and it's down 9 to 22.
I was just going to say, so that means you were 13 at one point.
That means I was 13. So I'm now doing my entire.
You gotta do some Facebook ads in Spain, Jeff. You gotta do some Facebook ads in Spain.
I haven't kept up with the last couple. Did you do paella recipes or something? Like, why Spain?
Howard,
I don't know. Spain.
He interviewed Antonio Banderas.
Maybe the
I don't know. I mean, I have maybe just
You're right, Bob.
Bob is back.
Nice to have you.
Bob is back. Bob
maybe I'm like an LA6 and a Spain fan. I don't know.
Bob,
your
is
mic
the
is
clock
muted.
Flashing 12 on your phone?
Hey, Bob, you back?
I am. I just wanted to know, are those listeners in real Spain or Hilaria Baldwin Spain?
He came back and bam!
Boom! You just slipped it in.
Didn't miss a beat.
You came in strong with that one. Thank you.
You ever see anybody punch up while they're trying to log on?
I think Jason Taylor said it best. Como estas, Jefe?
Como está?
And so anyway, bravo, thank you, Ken Dom. I appreciate it. Good to see your face.
Ken Dom, how you doing, Kenny?
Yeah, Ken. So we got a real fun show for you today. I do want to tell you, like last week, if you want to tune in to last week, we covered some great stuff. Blink of an Eye we talked about, which was a great show that Howard was a part of. It's about racing. The flight attendant, our guest Nate talked all about the flight attendant, and our guest Jimmy talked all about The Expanse, which I still have to check out. Ron covered Tehran, which I can now pronounce, and Bob had a complete mental breakdown, and I ended up covering the Paul Lynde Halloween special because of the two people on Earth that have seen the Paul Lynde Halloween special of recent, Bob being one, and coincidentally, me being the other. So that worked out, Bob. Now, if you drop this week, I'm not as astute on yours. But just to give everyone a kind of a sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about, Jess is going to be talking about the Misfits, so we're looking forward to that. Howard's going to talk about Party Down. Bob's going to cover Mindhunter, which I hear good things about. Ron is going to talk about the Irish Pub, which I'm guessing nobody's heard of. And then Sal is going to recap. We've already talked about Cobra Kai. Sal covered it, but we're coming back because season 3 is out. So we're going to cover Cobra Kai, which is exciting. So we got lots of great shows planned for you. But I do want to kind of cover, we have a new president, Joe Biden. So so we got a new president. I think most of us are happy about that here. And so that's exciting. So Ron, what do you think? What do you think Joe Biden, the first thing he should do now that he's president?
So I actually put some thought into this about, I hope he's trolling the former president just from the Oval Office, like making phone calls or maybe a FaceTime saying, "Hey Donnie, real quick, where did you leave the stapler? I can't find the stapler anywhere." Or where did you where do you keep like the gumballs? Like do you put them over here or do you keep them on the other side? I'm just trying to remember all that. So I'm just hoping a fair bit of trolling is happening.
Awesome. Raz, what about you, man? What's your Joe Biden tip of the day?
Not to take it serious for a second, but actually there was an executive action that he pushed out today, and I thought it was super important and relevant.
Give us the fresh news.
Well, I just wanted to read it. It's Executive Action 12021-17B, and it reads, "In times of strife and hardship, it's incumbent upon the leadership of our great nation to enact swift action that will immediately restore faith and deliver definitive joy and peace of mind. In accordance with those noble goals and pursuant to all federal laws, it's hereby ordered that the Mondelez Global Corporation must once again produce, distribute, and sell Sour Patch fruit candies in multiple package sizes, indefinitely available not only at retail, but via Amazon because pandemic, am I right?" So I thought that was really important and vital, and we're excited.
Here.
Okay.
Bob, what's going on? What do you think? I know Bob's our recovering Republican.
Yeah, that was the last election I'll ever vote Democrat, but I had to do it to get Cheeto out of there. But I think Joe is going to be busy enacting a couple of bits of legislation for just the White House. Dinners are now going to be at 4:30 for everybody. And he's going to put tennis balls on all the chairs in the Oval Office. Safer.
That's a good plan for sure.
Bob, any thoughts on what you think the letter said to Biden? I saw a lot of.
Did he?
What's that?
It said I won by a lot.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
I saw a couple that said I left a big dump in the toilet.
Yeah. I left the Febreze in the Resolute desk.
The Febreze. Oh man, too funny. Jess, what do you think?
So I took this a little bit more figuratively, and I was thinking the first thing that Biden has to do when he gets into office is he has to make both honesty and natural winter papery skin. He has to make those things really sexy again for all of us whiteys. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, don't misunderstand me. Like, with the Senate and the Congress, and honestly our country, I want to see it dotted with all the colors of all the nationalities. But except for orange, I do not want to see that guy. I do not want to see orange again on any person. And to be honest, I kept thinking about this and thinking how ironic it was when like he would actually, the lies, the objectively untrue lies would spout out of the objectively like terrible spray tan. Like it should have been so clear to everybody, but it was just like only clear to half of us. And I never understood how that was happening. It was like one and the same. It was like one leading the other. It's like, come on guys, how are we believing this guy who doesn't even know he just, yeah.
Everything was
been a long 4 years.
That was very well said, Jess.
What about you, Sal?
Well, I'm along the lines of Bob. I mean, this is the oldest president we've ever had. He's at 78 years old. So what do you think he's going to do? He's going to turn the thermostat down in the White House. Come on! How did you guys miss that one? Of course, that's the first thing he's going to do. And he's going to make those bathtubs with the doors in them so he doesn't have to get into the bathtub.
That's fantastic.
Just on a total tangent, one of my I haven't been a regular Saturday Night Live watcher in a long time, but over the past couple years, one of the best Saturday Night Live fake commercials I've seen is the Alexa Silver Edition for people of a certain generation. Have you guys seen that one?
No.
It's on YouTube, and it accepts that you can call it any name, Alyssa, Alexandra, and then it has an aha mode for long stories. Yeah, I highly recommend just Googling SNL Alexa on YouTube, and it's very funny.
That is so funny. I did want to. So Jason Taylor wonders if they burned the orange sheets.
Jason, so I actually, all joking aside, I wondered about that. Like when a new president comes in, do they? I know obviously they get rid of the mattresses and all that, but do they like get rid of everything in the bedroom?
Yeah, everything goes.
Yeah,
I would this time.
Everything goes.
And Sal, you missed one episode, and you got a big fan there with Fred.
Nicely done.
Thank you, Fred.
I'm gonna give you Fred's number. You can call him after the show.
Hopefully, I swiped right on him on Bumble.
Oh man,
I don't think that's Bumble.
So yeah, it's been a good day today. A lot of relief. I was thinking that I know there's a lot of focus on like COVID and all that kind of stuff, and no one's really talking about windmill cancer anymore. And I think I'm just afraid that's going to get kind of pushed under the rug. And honestly, you know, every hour, 3 to 4 people die from windmill cancer, and 3 of those are questionable. And so it's one of those things that I think we really need to kind of take seriously. Bob keeps disappearing. Really, the other thing I think is
a version of whack-a-mole. It just keeps disappearing.
Yeah. Jeff, I have to ask you more about your cause. Is windmill cancer the cancer we get from windmills, or the cancer that windmills get?
No, that is the cancer that you get from exposure.
Got it.
To
Got
windmills.
it.
Right.
It's extremely dangerous, and sadly, most of the people from the Bowling Green massacre had suffered from windmill cancer prior, and then
that's upsetting.
Which windmill cancer, of course, is known by its technical medical term, COFEEF.
Right. Let's get all the jokes out because they're old tomorrow.
They are, I know.
They might be old now. But the other thing that I kind of hope that the one right that I hope Joe Biden does that rights a wrong that I think Donald Trump didn't do is pardon Joe Exotic. I really think
he really did do that, though. Yeah, that's not even a joke.
He had a limo.
He didn't.
Joe Exotic
had a limo waiting outside the jail last night,
and then he did not get pardoned. Yeah,
but he let Kwame Kilpatrick go.
Wait, he really didn't. He didn't.
No.
Oh my God.
No, he didn't. But he was so convinced of Detroit corruption that he decided to commute the sentence of one of Detroit's convicted criminals, Kwame Kilpatrick. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. That's going to keep him probably from being on a future show. Anyway, I don't know if Bob's coming back, but if he does come back,
Kwame would review Oz for sure, I think.
Yeah.
How about that 20 or 22-year-old poet laureate, Amanda?
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was great.
Fantastic. Just everyone in the world, if you haven't
was the surprise highlight of the whole show.
I think she gained some YouTube followers today.
I think
yeah, she has more Instagram followers than me now. And Chris Wallace of Fox News called it the best inauguration speech since JFK. All right, but let's do what we got to do. Let's do why we're here. We're here to cross some streams. We're here to give some amazing TV streaming suggestions, and we're going to do it, and we're going to kick it off with the man, Ron Lippitt, who's rocking. He's rocking a brand new microphone today, so he brings it to you all clear. And so this is where he's going to talk to you about the Irish Pub. It's a brilliant show that I think only he's heard of, but he's gonna teach us all about it.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this thing on the map with this crossing stream edition we did today. So this is actually
especially in Spain.
Especially in Spain, right? So do the Spanish like the Irish? I think they do, don't they?
Sure.
So
those are pretty broad strokes.
Here's the deal. I stumbled onto this. This is available through Amazon Prime. But where I actually found it most available is actually on YouTube with no commercials. The Amazon Prime version is actually a rental with or a non-rental with commercials, but you can get it for free on YouTube in its full edition. The interesting thing about the Irish Pub, this is a documentary created in 2013, but they just released it, right? So it's brand new to the viewers, and this is the kind of thing it just makes you feel good. It's impossible to watch this and not leave feeling good about the world. Let me just ask to begin with, how many of you have been to Ireland? Has anyone been to Ireland?
I want to go.
Yeah. So I had my first opportunity to go to Ireland this past year. And I just, if you've been to Ireland, and for those of you in the audience who are listening to this, if you know the traditional Irish pub, these are not quaint recreations of what they used to be like we see here in America, in the corner strip mall. These pubs are hundreds of years old. They're all family owned. Almost in every case, they're passed down from generation to generation inside a family. They're not typically ever for sale. especially in the local towns, and Ireland's made of different counties, so each county has its own character, and each county has towns that feature their own local pubs, especially outside of Dublin. And these pubs are historic, and each of them have their own legacy. And this gentleman who created this series, a gentleman named Alex Fegan, he's an Irish gentleman. He's built a career for himself creating documentaries, and he took it upon himself to recognize that given the history of each of these pubs, there's some cool crap with this. There's a continuity of the families and the people who frequent these places, and there are incredible stories that need to be chronicled and documented that have been passed down from generation to generation for sometimes hundreds of years, that these pubs are like physical embodiments of the people who lived in these places for all these generations. So with that, I'll just say this: no one can tell a story like the Irish. There's something about the Irish. I'm talking about
because they're drunk all the time.
there's a rhythm, or there's like a familiar humor to their stories. But the way they communicate and the way they tell their stories, it's unique to the Irish, in my opinion, in all the world. And the thing that this story goes on to talk about is that the traditional Irish pub is a dying business in Ireland. And there's a real effort to preserve as many of these pubs as possible before they're all gone. And with them is a part of Ireland's history that's unique to their country. Like, as an example, one of the stories that they featured early on in the documentary is about a snoog. Do you guys know what snoog is? Spelled snug. Anybody know what a snoog is?
No idea.
A snoog is a little room in the back of a pub that prior to 1950s, women could not come into a pub and drink at the bar. So you'd have to order your drink, get your drink, and then go into the snug. I'll call it snug because I'm American, but it's snoog the way they pronounce it. And you go, and the women would have to drink, usually with other women or with their husbands, in the snug, out of sight, away from the bar. And that was the way it was up until the 50s. And then when the 50s came and they changed the rules around that, and it became more socially acceptable for women to pony up to the bar, the snugs became places where deals were cut between mobsters or business people or anything that was illicit. Sometimes there were affairs that would be had in the snugs. The snugs became part of the character of these old pubs. And there's a big, it's part of the real estate of the pub. So there's a lot of push about getting rid of it. There's more room for bars and drinking, and if they get rid of the pubs, but there's a big push historically of no, you can't get rid of the snugs. The snugs are what make this bar so freaking cool. Most of these pubs are started off as markets and feed stores and places just where people congregated, and that's how pubs became pubs. It's just where people ended up. A lot of these people were like funeral directors, and some of them became like marriage counselors just because they ran a bar. So, all of them did something else besides for owning a pub, and that's kind of the history of where these pubs came from. One of the other stories that I loved, and I'll turn it back to you, Jeff, is in County Kerry. There was a pub that's featured in the documentary about a guy named Bill Fitzmaurice, who drank at the pub every day. He wore a leather hat, and he drank until he passed away, until at 88 years old. But before he died, he asked the owner of the pub that when he passes, if he could tack his leather hat on the wall above the chair that he sat every single day, he'd be able to share the pints that were drunk, from that chair forevermore. And so they've got the hat, tacked right up on the wall that's been there forever. And this is so uniquely Irish and so familiar to me now, having been to Ireland a couple times, that I just love that. And that's so cool. And so the last thing I'll just say is I was trying to figure out why I loved this documentary so much. And I think it's partly because of COVID, but it's worth remembering that there's a power of human connection, and how we're all, in my opinion, the best versions of each other when we're with each other and we're laughing and we're telling stories, and maybe if you're Irish, over a pint of Guinness. And I think for me, that's why this show, it will make you feel good to watch it. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
That's awesome, man. I'm definitely going to check that out. Just something that I thought of as you were talking, Ronnie. I don't know if you guys have ever, obviously I live in the Detroit area. the Tipperary Pub on Southfield. I don't know if you guys remember that bar. It was obviously an authentic Irish bar. And when I was in the beer industry, I used to have to, that was my account, and I used to have to take them kegs of Guinness or whatever. Anyway, long story short, on St. Patrick's Day at 7 o'clock in the morning, my boss would be like, you have to be at the Tipperary Pub at 7 a.m. because that's when the owner does the little tradition that he does. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I went there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And what they do is on St. Patrick's Day at 7 o'clock in the morning, Tipperary Pub, they would be packed. And the owner of the bar would take a picture of his wife who had passed away years before and do one of those like body surfing things where the picture would go across the bar and go all the way to the other side of the bar. And then it would come back and the owner would put it back on the wall and everybody would drink their Guinness to start off St. Patrick's Day.
That's cool.
Just, again, that's the Irish think of stuff like that. It's just really cool because everybody was together. It's St. Patrick's Day. They're kicking off the day. So I just wanted to tell that story because you reminded me of it. So
it's a great story. And that's very typical. So thanks for that, Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ron, I noticed, I've never been to Ireland, but when I was in London, just my wife and I walking around and, we were kind of lost in a neighborhood and there's just a pub. Like, well, let's go in. And that's just what it is. It's just any time of the day or night, just people hanging out, drinking pints. And it was just a different atmosphere. Far more like a living room compared to going to a bar here.
Yep.
Just an older world thing.
Well,
certainly.
so one of the experiences I had the first time I was in Ireland was when you walk into some of these pubs, they're sometimes very small, and you walk in and it's like somebody's living room. You walk in and it's your first reaction as an American is this: is it okay? Am I allowed to come in? Like,
right.
And they'll wave you in. Come on in. Here's a seat for you over here. They're very cool about it. But as an American, you think to yourself, maybe I'm not supposed to be here, but it's not like that at all.
So the only pub I've been,
I'll check that out for sure.
When I went to London, I went to a pub, but it was only because I was like, I'm in London. I have to eat fish and chips at a pub.
And it was probably really good too.
Guys, I do have some breaking. We are live, so you never know what's going to happen. But I do have some kind of, I guess, sad news. I guess is we sadly lost Bob of Windows.
Oh God.
So
I'm so sorry.
He was brave. But so if you go to the show notes, go to the GoFundMe. We're putting money together.
To his defense, his Comcast person was supposed to be there from 6 until 10, and he still hasn't showed up yet. So
anyway, if we can't help his family, maybe we can just cover his Wi-Fi.
He fought so hard.
Yes, I remember the last thing he said to me. He's like, "Look out!"
That was good. That was good.
That was really good.
Don't worry. We're not canceling Bob, Jason. He sadly left us.
He just canceled himself.
He canceled himself. Exactly.
He's overdue.
All right. So we're gonna kind of do. This is our first recap. Meaning, like, we already talked about this on the show.
An update.
Thank you.
Update. Yes.
You know what? That's a much better word for it.
Yeah, I was confused.
So we're gonna Cobra Kai. We covered seasons 1 and 2. Sal expertly covered it, and but season 3 just came out like not too long ago, weeks ago. So Sal, you saw Cobra Kai 3. Tell us.
It did, and I'm not gonna be the spoiler alert for season 3 because these seasons go by so fast. It's probably only a 3-hour movie, but they cut it up in 15, 20-minute sets or episodes. But by the way, Jeff, you're right. I did do a recap on season 1, episode 3 of Crossing the Streams. So if you guys want to go check that out.
Yeah.
But notice how I said season 1, Jeff. Come on, trying to get your contract.
Do we have a hiatus coming up?
No, we're just.
So if you've watched Cobra Kai seasons 1 and 2, it's just a hit show that has just taken the country by storm. So I'm not going to obviously recap that, but if you followed that, you know that the big end of season 2 was a big brawl at the high school where what's his name got hurt, and I forgot his name, Domingo or Miguel, and whatever his name is, Jess. All right, I watched it a long time ago. Hang on, but no.
Sale's accidental racism is not a reflection of the show or the other participants.
How it ends is basically there's a brawl at the school, but
We'll never know.
No.
Anyway, well,
Are you
sorry.
at Bob's house? Are you at Bob's house?
He just private chatted, and he's like, the juice on my phone, my computer is dying. I'm gonna have to switch. So I don't understand. Oh wait. Hang on. I'm gonna remove. And wait, he's back. Here we go. All right.
There we go.
You change shirts?
You changed shirts. Well, you're all supposed to do a quick
This
change.
is how committed I am. I had a backup phone ready.
When Jess does hers, she's gonna disappear and have Danish on her head.
So anyway,
I can do it.
How season 3 starts basically is all three of the gentlemen have dojos. If you're following it, Danny LaRussa has his, Johnny has his, and then obviously the great Martin Cove, who plays Kreese, has his dojo. So now there's 3 dojos going on for season 3, which makes things very interesting. One thing I will say about this season, there wasn't as much fighting, karate fighting, as like the first 2 seasons. There's a lot of kind of just emotional kind of things going on with the cast of the students. And then one of the things I really like that happens is Danny LaRussa goes back to Japan because he owns a dealership in the series, and he's going back to Japan to kind of do a deal to make his dealership more profitable. But in the meantime, he visits obviously the characters from the Karate Kid movie that were living there, and he runs into them and has lunch with them, and he kind of has to put things to bed on what happened in the movie with those characters, and it's really touching. He also reads a letter that she's a fine actress, Tamlin Tomita, who played his love interest in the original movie. She gives him a letter that obviously Pat Morita wrote to him, and it's a very teary-eyed scene. I've only cried at a few. I've cried at Rudy. I've cried on the movie Rocky. I've cried in the movie Beaches, and now Cobra Kai season 3 episode 4.
That's a pretty decent list, Sal.
I'm with you. I don't cry very often either, but when Rudy was delivering that speech at Total 4 Seasons Landscaping and the stuff was dripping down, it definitely a tear.
Yeah.
Definitely a tear.
Totally
Right? You're right, Jeff. You're right about that. I did. I cried like a baby. So anyway, I really like that scene. So look out for that scene when you're watching season 3. And also, so I don't want to get into a lot of the characters, but Johnny Lawrence has a son, and his name is Robbie, and he's one of the characters. He's on the dojo side with Kreese.
Is
and
he a
anyway,
prick?
Yeah, which is kind of shitty, right? But here's what I want to talk about. There's prison scenes in Cobra Kai. Now I know it's not a prison movie. I know it's not CSI Cobra Kai, but they got to make those prison scenes a little bit more believable. I mean, first of all, the prison cafeteria looks like an Apple store. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was like 70-inch TVs in the cafeteria. They had like, seriously, it was unbelievable. They couldn't make it look a little bit prisonery, or I don't know if that's a word, but they could.
Clearly not.
Everybody had pressed white shirts on. Everybody was beautiful. Every prisoner was good looking. There wasn't anybody ugly in there. I don't know. Cobra Kai producers, make that prison scene just a little bit more believable.
So we do get to critique and roast our shows a little bit. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
It's good to that. So I loved Cobra Kai 3, but in season 3, and there was some brilliant things, and I won't mention some of them, but some of the characters that they do bring back and some of the storylines, but like brilliantly weaved in. I think they do a masterful job of taking the movie and bringing it back and making it relevant. maybe one or two things in a later season we can discuss of whether I thought was really silly, because I don't want to ruin anything. But the only thing that I find a little disturbing and hard to watch, and I don't know if it doesn't ruin it for me, but it started the end of season 2, is the fights aren't karate fights. They borderline psychopathic, murderous rages. Right? And I don't even know if that's a strong enough way to describe it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's that part is a little
over the
disturbing.
top.
Well, Kreese is creating, which he didn't do he created bullies in the movies, but like here he's creating literally psychopaths, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when they started that fight and that girl went after the Russo girl with that thing on her hand and was gonna fire, he's just gonna kill her. I mean, it's almost too brutal. It's almost just too,
like, because isn't karate kind of a sport of defense? You know, like you kind of strike best when you're defending yourself.
Karate for defense only.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends which dojo you're in. Jess, come on.
Right. I should consider that.
No, you're right. The fighting scenes, Jeff, that's a great point. They're just getting out of hand. It's almost like, it's almost like the Thriller video from Michael Jackson. I mean, they're getting bad. People are coming out of sewers and stuff. But I'm gonna end on this because I want to hear Jess's review and everybody else. I'm gonna end on this. I'm going to say this, Jeff, we're going to be able to run this train for as long as this show stays on, because I'm telling you, there's going to be 50 Cobra Kais. They're never going to end this series. The actors look beautiful. Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, they're both good looking. Nobody's fat that was in the original movie, which is pissing me off. Seriously, nobody got fat. What the hell is going on? Everybody looks. Elizabeth Shue is in season 3, which is great. So you guys are going to love her in it. And but Jeff Dwoski, I'm telling you, there's going to be 50 Cobra Kais. I'm gonna review every single one of them until they end this thing, because they can just bring in different characters every 3-4 years and teach a whole new brand of people. This series is never going to end. But by the way, I will say this, because of all the divisiveness in this country and everybody's hating on everybody because of politics, Cobra Kai is a really breath of fresh air. It brings us all back to our youth, and I love it. And I'm so glad that those actors are kind of getting successful again, although they've all been successful in their own right. I'm real happy for them. It's a great cast. They look like they're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep watching them.
That's great.
I mean, I read an article that they actually didn't invite any of the fat people back, which is, I think is why. I think that's why
they trim the fat.
That's another good YouTube find is if you didn't see the Rob Lowe Comedy Central roast, Ralph Macchio was on the dais with Rob Lowe, and he took a beating, a relentless beating, but it's pretty funny. Wax on, wax off is what he does in his job at the car wash on Sunset.
Too funny. All right.
Pretty good.
Oh, 5. I give season 3 5 tomato sauce jars.
Oh, 5.
Really?
That's a big one.
Wow.
5 tomato jars.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's full Italian theme with Sal. We don't.
Jess, that's part of your food thing. If you want the tomato sauce jars for your food thing, go ahead. You can.
Thanks. I'll think about that. That might be pretty easy to make.
You have it.
Jar.
All right. Next up is Misfits.
We're doing it. Okay, guys, I am bringing you a show from the UK from 2009. We're going a little bit vintage, even though you've definitely never seen it. And so I'm gonna read you the tagline, then I'll go into the details a little bit. So, Misfits, a group of young offenders doing community service gets struck by lightning during a storm and begin to develop superpowers. So if you're into that cape shit, if you're into the Marvel universe, this might be for you. It's also got some really crass humor. Like, okay, listen, I watched this in college and I love the shit. Are we allowed to? Too late. Never mind. I loved.
No one's watching this far in.
Wait. Can we just step back for a second? Did you say 2008, 2009
Yeah, yeah.
college.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I just checking. Okay, fair enough.
Are you trying to
Fair
figure
enough.
out my age?
No, he's
No,
trying to figure
I
out
was
his
trying
age.
to figure out mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that would have been college. I was watching it a couple years later, so I was in like my junior year. But this was such a unique show. I was watching a lot of British television for some reason. I guess we didn't have comedians like You Fine Gentlemen, so I had to look elsewhere across the pond for my comedy, my brand of comedy. And this show in particular, like, was very sexy. That you can literally watch the actors have sex in this like literal like. It's practically a slapstick comedy sometimes, and it's like, okay, yeah, we get some extra time on the skin on this show, and you get a lot of like really raunchy humor, and I used to be into that, and now I am rewatching it for the first time in 10 years, so I get to go back to both relive it and also look at it with like the 2021 lens that we have now. It's very interesting. And the reason why I'm rewatching it, me and my friend Zoe, we were watching The Umbrella Academy. Did you guys happen to see that?
I did.
Okay, so Robert Sheehan, he plays, damn it, what's his name? Who was that? Was it like Sal was like, what's his name? Yeah, I'm doing it too. The silliest one of the Hargreaves family.
The drug addict?
Yes.
Yes, I'm forgetting his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. He's awesome.
Yes, his name's Robert Sheehan. That's his real name. And he was on this show. And when we watched Umbrella Academy, I'm like, oh my God. They literally hired Robert Sheehan to play the exact same character as he played in Misfits. Like, you want to throw the poster up? I can point him out. Actually, you can see what he looked like 10 years ago. Can you throw the poster up, Jeff? Okay, so he's the first one here. He had of a poof of hair. He was in his early 20s, and so he was the breakout star of this show. And he literally played the same goofy ass, did whatever he wanted kind of character. He said whatever he wanted. A lot of the comedy came from him. And the thing is, looking at it with a 2021 lens again, I'm watching this with my friend Zoe, and I'm almost embarrassed sometimes, because sometimes like the punchline would just be like to call somebody gay, and like back then, like, oh, edgy, raw, like, and then you're like, well, that's not, I don't know, that doesn't sound like an insult or whatever. And so honestly, and I'm not super SJW by any means, because I might sound like I am sometimes, but it's still very obvious. Like, we're in very different times, and our minds have kind of shaped their way right around. And literally 2 days after I told Jeff what show I was going to do, I'm like, oh yeah, like no one's ever heard of it, and it's kind of cool because it's edgy and it's like from England, and I watched probably one of that because we're continuing to watch it, me and Zoe, and I watched the worst episode of television I'd ever seen from this show. And so I'm like, oh man, I'm supposed to recommend this on this show. And just to explain why the writing was so bad, and this is cool because I'm like, because it's not only in the perspective of like maybe like times changing and being more politically correct, but it's also like I'm a writer now. Like, I know how movie plots work and everything. So on the worst episode of TV, and I won't give any spoilers away, but I will describe what I just watched literally a couple nights ago, that there's a big relationship that happens like 2 seasons in between 2 of the characters. All right. And I remember that being like just a pivotal part of the show. These 2 characters got together in a weird circumstance because one of the characters was from the future. He came back from the future. Okay. And he came back hotter than he did in the past, because this character was in the present of the show, but he's now coming back from the future and he's hotter. And so one of the female characters like meets this future version, and they never would have gotten together beforehand, but now they do. And I'm like, I couldn't remember like what he said to her to make her fall in love with him. And basically, I now remembered and watched him actually say, we're going to fall in love. And she kind of goes, that's crazy. But then they sleep together. And that's all that the plot line was. Like, she just kind of like went along with it. And she was, and that was the end of it. And that's what their conversation was. And I'm like, you guys didn't give her any agency. She was like the protagonist at that point. And it's like, that's terrible writing. In the same episode,
Try that move on Bumble.
Yeah, right. In the same episode, Robert Sheehan's character is actually turned gay. Okay, one
Frozen.
Well, he was gay in Umbrella Academy too.
Yes, it's very interesting if you watch Misfits too back to back, because he makes so many gay derogatory jokes that it's like out of this world, like how times have changed. In a funny way too. Like they're meant to be kind of shock value, but they were really, poorly, basically, like I said, calling someone gay was. But anyways, about this show that's very interesting about these superpowers and about who these kids are. I'm rushing through this because I know I only have so much time. When these kids get superpowers, the whole point is that they're never going to be heroes because they're just shit kids. Like they're always going to be just like these kids that ended up in community service for one reason or another. Drug addicts, whatever. They're bad kids, or they can be bad kids. They're just kind of normally like, they don't need these superpowers. But the thing is, the superpowers all have to do with their personalities. Like if there's a really shy kid, his superpower is invisibility and stuff like that. And then other people in the town got struck by lightning as well. And you start to find these other people with superpowers. So yeah, for the rest of this terribly written episode, Robert Sheehan's character gets turned gay by a tattoo artist that can like point his gun and like just tattoo a heart with someone's name on it, and you'll fall in love with them. Like that's his superpower and everything. And they literally, at the end of the episode, this is the biggest spoiler of all, but they kill him. Or they not kill him, but they basically defeat him because he was like the villain of the episode, by opening a bag of peanuts in his tattoo shop because he was allergic to peanuts. It was the weirdest episode of television ever, and I kind of do not recommend it at your own risk. It's interesting, to be honest.
And how many tomato sauce jars are you giving this, Jeff?
And where do we find this?
You can actually watch the entire series on YouTube. Just somebody upload. I mean, it's illegal. Like it's not supposed to be there, but it's there. That's how we're watching it. So,
okay.
So I give it out of what? How many are
five?
The
Five is like out of the world. Out of this world.
Must watch.
I'm gonna give it literally like 3 because it's. To be like, it's kind of just that it's nostalgic that I think I liked it. And now that I'm rewatching it again, I'm like, wow, I was young and kind of dumb watching some of this, but it still is very entertaining.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
It does sound like
Nice.
There've been articles written. I was just Googling while you're talking to check it out. Between the Umbrella Academy and the Misfits.
Actually, I haven't seen any of those, but I'm very interested to see what they would say.
His name is Klaus. That's
Klaus. That's right, Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus. All right. Very cool.
Nice.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Very
We got
good
well,
job,
Bob,
Jess.
we're gonna say that was great, Jess. That was great. I'm
Thanks,
gonna check that out. That sounds fun.
Free streaming for everybody, I guess.
Free stream. All right. Well, we're gonna we'll let Bob do his next week. So we're gonna go to Howard, who's got a great one called Party Down.
Yeah.
And so this is, if you just look at that cast, I know you're gonna rattle off the cast, but it's insane cast.
So Party Down was from roughly the same time frame when I was definitively not in college, as Jess was, about late 2000s. Party Down, I've mentioned it before. To me, it's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, period. They only did 2 seasons. And the reason they only did 2 seasons is because all the actors left to do other things. So the show, it was created by a handful of writers, one of whom was Paul Rudd. And amongst the directors of the 20 or so episodes, I think half of them roughly were directed by Fred Savage. So it's a show about struggling Hollywood types, actors, writers, etc., who make money by working catering company. Each episode is a different event that their catering company is hired to do. It's called Party Down Catering. That's the name of the company. The cast, as you can see in the picture, is amazing. Adam Scott is the main character from Parks and Rec, amongst other things. He's incredible. Ken Marino, the other guy to the right of Adam Scott, you've seen in a bunch of different movies. He's written some things. One of my favorite roles he played was he plays the strip club manager in We're the Millers that talks to Boner Garage, if everybody remembers that movie. One of my favorite scenes. Lizzie Kaplan from a bunch of different shows and Clueless. The first season, about 2/3 of the first season, Jane Lynch is on the show, and she's superb. She actually left in the middle of that season to go do Glee. So the last couple of episodes are Jennifer Coolidge, who you know from Legally Blonde and the Chris Guest movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then she only did a couple of episodes. That role, not really role, it's not the same character, but that slot is taken over by Megan Mullally in the second season, and she kills it.
She's so talented. She's so talented.
I love her in everything she's ever done. But she has some of the, like in her first 2 minutes of the premiere of the second season, has maybe the funniest lines of all time. Martin Starr is another one of the characters. And then in every episode, there's guest stars playing roles that you will know for sure. Kevin Hart plays a rapper in one episode. He's superb. Just a ton of comedic actors. But the show is just great. They're half-hour shows. It's on Stars. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it was. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube for free. I'm sure somebody's uploaded them as well. It's super easy watching. It's hysterical. A couple of episodes to watch out for that I think are just amazing. Steve Guttenberg's birthday party, which is Steve Guttenberg plays himself, obviously. And it's like, where has he been?
Alive.
He's hysterical. He's great. There's another one called Cole Landry's draft day party, which is a quarterback being drafted in the NFL. There's one called Jackal Onassis backstage party. And again, all the guest stars are people that you've seen in other shows. It's one of those ones that we've talked about, like Ted Lasso or Mythic Quest that I watched, with the quick half-hour comedies that are really like 26 minutes. You can easily do both seasons in one night or afternoon, no problem. And it is an addictive show. It's really great. It's very sarcastic sense of humor.
Is it similar to like a Schitt's Creek or one of those, or is it?
I've only watched a little Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek I didn't get into. It was a little over the top for me. It's probably a little bit
more grounded,
softer. Yeah, it's a little bit softer, not as over the top. But it's it's really funny. It's a really good show.
That actually really sounds interesting to me. Where can you see that?
It's on Stars. If you have access to Stars, maybe it might now be on. I don't know if it's on HBO Max as well, but yeah, it was on Netflix. I'm sure you can download it on iTunes or rent it, maybe even on iTunes, and I'm sure somebody's uploaded it to YouTube. But yeah, it's a great show. Adam Scott, his character is very similar to his character on Parks and Rec, which I think is a great character. And again, Jane Lynch is great. Jane Lynch actually comes back for the second season finale, playing herself, the character from the first season, rather. And there's a scene with one of the characters' band. Her character, not to give everything away, but her character is marrying a really old Jewish guy. And all of his friends are old Jewish guys, some of whom came from Europe. And the character Kyle, who's one of the main characters in the show, his band Karma Rocket is doing an original song he's written called This Is Our Struggle. And it's all the imagery is non-ironically about he's like they put a star on you, you took a shot, they took a train to nowhere, and he's writing a song not realizing all the imagery is Holocaust imagery. And and you just see all these old Jewish people's faces going, I don't know. And it's a show like that. It's very funny. So my highest recommendation. I've watched it about 4 or 5 times all the way through.
I will say, Howard, that it is not on HBO Max. However, if you search Party Down on HBO Max, interestingly enough, you get 3 different episodes of the ABCs of COVID-19, CNN, Sesame Street, Town Hall. Part 1, Part 2, and then the full family.
Interesting.
And South Park season 19, episode 3, the city part of the town. That is what you get if you search Party Down on HBO.
Wow,
Did we check YouTube? We'll check YouTube.
I just checked. It's available on Hulu and Stars.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is an insane cast, and Paul Rudd looks the same whether you're in college, whether Jess was in college. Didn't matter who's in college. Paul looks exactly the same.
One show that I'd like to mention that I watched, it's purely a YouTube show. Have you seen, and I'm going to forget the name, the show of people eating the hot wings with the guy doing
Hot ones, yeah.
Paul Rudd was amazing on that show. He didn't drink. He didn't take have you seen that, Ron? You would.
I haven't. It sounds like something I would like, though.
They're progressively eating hotter and hotter sauces, like 2 million plus Scoville.
Yeah.
By the end of the show,
It's fun to watch because these celebrities really go through it.
Yeah, but he's a very good interviewer. He's doing legitimate. He's doing legitimate.
He became
interviews.
a meme after that interview.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
Paul, right. Yeah.
They clipped a couple of him saying, like, I think he was saying, like, you and me, buddy. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're this together.
That's right. That's a great show, Ron. You would love that.
I will check that out.
Speaking of eating amazing wings. Speaking of eating amazing wings, it's time to say goodbye. It's time to fly away.
Oh no.
Say goodbye, Howard.
Goodbye. I'll be appearing on my couch and occasionally in my office. If you need me, you can look me up on Instagram. I'm there.
Say goodbye, Sal.
Everybody, say goodbye. SalDemilio.com, SallyD08, Twitter. Keep watching Crossing the Streams next Wednesday.
You're the best. Say good night, Ron.
Hey, good night, everybody. Ron Lippett at Twitter and Instagram. One word, Ron Lippett. And great to be here. Look forward to next week. Thanks, everybody.
Say good night, Jess.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for having me. If you want to check
Thanks
out
for
more,
being here, Jess.
Absolutely. Just
great
look up Jess Paul on Google. I show up, or all my socials are This Is Jess Paul. I'll see you there.
See you there. Right. Thank you so much, Jess. It was a pleasure having you. And I am Jeff Dwoskin, host of Live from Detroit, The Jeff Dwoskin Show. Check out my podcast. Go to my website, jeffisfunny.com.
R.I.P.
Bomb. And then again, peace to Bob Phillips and his family. And we'll put a link to the GoFundMe. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Crossing the Streams, brought to you by SceneSnobs.com and part of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Your hosts, of course, Jeff Dwoskin, Sal D'Amelio, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, and Howard Rosner. Follow us all on the socials, and we'll see you next week and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We're going live and crossing more streams.